case, there seemed little point in conversation. Even if they'd been able to free themselves from the ropes that bound each of them tightly to his seat and remove the hoods that their captors had placed over their heads, they knew that the door was heavily chained. Nobody was going anywhere. So they just waited, each of them alone with his thoughts, in the stillness that comes with true resignation to an irreversible fate. The same kinds of thoughts were running through each of their minds. Wistful thoughts of wives and girlfriends they wouldn't be seeing again. Memories of good times. Each of them knew that he'd had a good run. It tasted bittersweet now, in retrospect, but they'd all known this time would come round eventually, one way or another. They'd all known who they were dealing with. In the world they'd long ago chosen for themselves, it was just the way things were. As long as it was over quickly, that was all they could ask for now. The pair of identical Kamoff Ka-50 Black Shark combat helicopters were closing rapidly in on their target. Behind their mirrored visors, the pilots calmly checked their readouts and readied the weapons systems that bristled across the undersides of their aircraft. 2 kilometers away, their automatic laser-guided target tracking systems locked in, and a sharp image of the shack appeared simultaneously on the monitors inside each cockpit, enlarged enough to count the links in the chain that was padlocked to the door. The pilots armed their missiles and prepared to fire. There had been no word from base. That meant the operation was a go. The pilots hit their triggers and felt the recoil judder their aircraft as their weapons launched simultaneously. Just under 3 meters long and weighing 45 kilos each, the Vickar anti-tank missiles could travel at 600 meters a second. The pilots watched them go, hunting down their target with deadly accuracy. 3 long seconds as the 4 white vapor trails snaked and twisted through the blue sky, lancing down towards the trees. They hit, in rapid succession with blinding white flashes, as the fragmentation warheads detonated on impact. The shack was instantly blown into pieces of whirling debris. The pilots closed in on the smashed target and activated their side-mounted 30mm cannons. It was complete overkill. But this was a demonstration, and the boss was watching. The boss wanted it to look good, and if the boss said he wanted a show of firepower, he'd get a show. The machine cannons raked and strafed the ground with hammering shellfire. Billowing clouds of dust were churned into whirling spirals by the downdraft of the rotors as the choppers roared over the devastated scene. As the clouds slowly settled, the plot that the shack had once stood on now looked like a ploughed field. Whatever remained of the 3 men, come nightfall, the wild animals would soon claim it. Chapter 2. The man watching from behind the black-tinted, bullet-proof windows of his Humvee lowered his binoculars and smiled in satisfaction at the climbing wisp of smoke across the valley. His eyes narrowed against the sun, following the line of the choppers as they banked round to head back to their secret base, back to where they'd be well hidden from their original owners. The man's name was Grigory Shikov. They called him the Tsar. He was 74 years old, grizzled and tough. For half a century his business ethos had been based on practicality. He liked things kept simple, and he liked loose ends to be tied up. 3 of them had just been tied up permanently. That was what happened to men who tried to conflict with Grigory Shikov's interests. Shikov twisted his bulk around to stare at the camcorder operator in the back seat. "Did you get that?" "Got the whole thing, boss." Shikov nodded. His clients were people you didn't want to disappoint, but not even they could fail to be impressed. He was sure they'd find their own uses for their new toys once the deal was wrapped and the goods changed hands. The negotiations were in the closing stages. Everything was looking good. "Okay, let's go," Shikov muttered to his driver. At that moment, his phone buzzed in his pocket and he reached for it. He insisted on having a new phone every few days, but disliked this latest piece of tin. It was too small for his fist and his fingers were clumsy on the tiny keys. He answered the call with a grunt. He rarely spoke on phones. People told him what he needed to hear, and he listened. His unnerving way of remaining silent was one of the things he was known for, like never sleeping.